All right, for more on Bill Belichick, let's go to our guy who was there in sunshine, in rain and snow, sometimes rain and snow together. Phil Perry, we've been talking about Bill Belichick. What do you know? What's the latest on what could be the last game for the Patriots head coach?
Yeah, let me take you in a couple different corners of the building here, Michael. Let's start on the coaching staff side of it, as all are considering what will happen next with Bill Belichick. I spoke with several sources who told me they truly don't know, but if they were leaning in one direction in terms of where it might go, there are a lot who are assuming this will be Bill Belichick's last game as head coach with the Patriots, and they would acknowledge, too, that it'll be hard for him to make his case in such a way to Robert Kraft that he will return. I've been told there is, quote, drama on the coaching staff right now as cliques have formed. Not a lot of communication between individuals, between cliques that you might expect would have a significant amount of communication at this point in the year. And then I would say in the front office and in terms of the personnel side of things, it's a little bit quieter in terms of the drama. I had one source tell me, no one's shown real signs of despair thinking about what might come next for Bill Belichick and the uncertainty there, but there certainly is uncertainty, and personnel staffers trying to plan their futures right now should Bill Belichick no longer be the head coach of the New England Patriots. One name that continues to get buzz as a potential internal successor for Belichick, Elliott Wolf. Meanwhile, again, the coaching staff, Gerard Mayo, we've all talked about him. I had one personnel staffer tell me in terms of if it was Mayo who took over as head coach, he would expect more collaboration, more transparency, and he said, quote, I would embrace it. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes right now. Again, the drama on the coaching staff certainly there at this point.
Phil, I obviously read the Herald story and thought they did an excellent job, Andrew Callahan and Doug Hyde. They really did a good job of examining incidents of discord within the team and the coaching staff. Sources I spoke to this week indicated to me that the offensive coaching staff and the quarterback's room has been in a good spot. Yes, there's obvious awkwardness within that, but they joke they're doing all right. And within the coaching staff itself, Bill O'Brien has been somebody who Bill Belichick wanted, who Bill Belichick was the point man on hiring, as opposed to what we insinuated and thought was Robert Kraft, and that Bill O'Brien is somebody that would like to come back here. What do you think of the offensive status of the coaching staff and perhaps the quarterback room a little bit?
Yeah, in terms of the coaching staff, my belief and the belief of those in the building right now is that Bill O'Brien will return as offensive coordinator. We'll see how things end up shaking out with Bill Belichick and what Robert Kraft decides. Obviously, he had a huge say in the Patriots making a change at offensive coordinator this past offseason. But in terms of the quarterback room itself, after speaking with multiple people who would be in that room, the drama there, maybe not what you might expect. There is some natural tension, is how it was described to me, because Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi obviously both want to play. Only one could be the starting quarterback. They're also in similar places in terms of their careers. Zappi only 1 year behind Mac Jones in terms of NFL experience. But it was pointed out to me when Mac Jones went and was one of the first people to Bailey Zappi during the Buffalo game. Bailey Zappi scrambles in for a touchdown, runs from his spot on the sideline all the way down to give Bailey Zappi a hug. I was told that's real emotion. That is more indicative of how those two feel about each other than some of the more dramatic things that you may hear, and you may even see. I've heard Scott Zolak say it all the time. He's observing from up in the booth. Man, these guys don't seem to talk that much. We all see that. The natural tension is legitimate, but it's not as though they don't speak.
Phil, obviously, I think time is of the essence when it comes to the parting of the ways, if there is going to be a parting of the ways. But if a trade is maybe in the works for Bill to go somewhere else, I would think that's going to take some time. Do you anticipate perhaps this relationship with the Patriots ending for Bill Belichick via a trade?
That's one of the paths that ownership could try to travel, Ted. I just wonder, yes, it could take time, as you point out. I think it is also going to take some cooperation on Bill Belichick's behalf, because he can't be traded anywhere where he's not going to be willing to go and coach. And I spoke to a source this week who's very familiar with both sides, ownership and head coach, who told me he can't see a trade happening because, in his words, quote, he'll be spiteful. Bill Belichick, if he's informed that he will no longer be the head coach of the Patriots moving forward, and they're going to try to figure out how to shake this thing out moving forward, a trade was not, in the words of this source, was not likely.
Just real quick, we never had this in NFL history, I don't think, a coach who was traded against his will. We've had players traded against their will, but a coach who ownership, hey, you got a contract, you got to be traded. You know, what are the rules on that? Have we looked into that? Like, is that legal? What would happen?
I think, Bill, might have extraneous rules that exist when you've got the resume and the age factor involved. I ain't going.
Will not report. Then you don't get your money. Right? Won't get your money. All right. It's been an emotional day for Belichick and the fans. On Friday, Phil here did his best to pry out how Belichick feels about the Foxboro faithful, and this is what Belichick responded.
How would you, in your own words, describe the fans that you've coached in front of, or, you know, not just this season, but over the course of your tenure here?
Yeah, passionate, very passionate.
Phil, hey, great job, Phil. I mean, like, listen, you really got him to open up. We learned a lot, very insightful. He didn't give you anything there, but what do you think he's thinking about this last walk down the tunnel and onto the field at Gillette Stadium?
I would be hard-pressed to say that we're going to see an emotional Bill Belichick, although he has surprised us before. I think the fans that he'll coach in front of today will certainly be cold. They'll be wet, if it's any indication, in terms of the fans I'm seeing right now that are here at Gillette Stadium. And I'm wondering how many fans will be here, Michael, because the weather is not great. Because I've heard from people that are in the stands now that just pulled into the parking lot about a half hour ago. There ain't much traffic out there on Route 1. It ain't all that difficult to find a parking spot outside of Gillette Stadium right now, and it's not all that difficult to find a ticket either. At last check, there were tickets available for $25 here. So I just wonder what the scene will be like. My guess is Bill Belichick will hear some thank yous from the crowd today, but if it's a muted reaction, it might be in part due to the weather, but obviously in part due to their record. I think if this place was a stadium that was about to watch a playoff team embark on a divisional round game or a wild card round game, it would be banged out. It's certainly not the case.
The weather, Belichick's illness, and the potential of this being a game that ends up with a total points in the single digits might conspire to make it less celebratory. Phil, Mac Jones is inactive for today's game. My theory is you want to protect a trade asset. You've been close to the quarterbacks, both of them, throughout this season. Where's Mac's head at? Do you think this is some kind of a punishment? What's the logic behind it?
I think Mac Jones is in a good place right now. My understanding is his relationship with Bill O'Brien is still a good one, and there's been certainly open lines of communication between those two in terms of how they're going to handle this game. There's another quarterback there who is available. He's not under contract, is my understanding, so maybe Scott Zolak could get a few snaps here today. But what I've been told about Mac Jones is that he continues to do what he has done really all year. My understanding, he's one of the first 3 or 4 people in the building every single morning. He is still working out as he has, still taking part in meetings as he always has. And I feel as though, based on people who are familiar with his thinking, he's in a good place right now because he is comfortable with the idea of, if the team decides, parting ways with Mac Jones. I think it was his dream to be here, to have Tom Brady's old job, and to play for the New England Patriots and start for the New England Patriots. The way things have gone, I think he has opened up to other opportunities, and I think he would tell you, he's handled it as best he can, and those around him would say he's handled it in a pretty civil manner, better than some others might.